take your fears, your insecurities, your worries, you roll them all up into a ball, you turn those son bitches sideways and stick them straight up, then candy out!
Pick your goal and stick fucking to it. You wishy-washy motherfuckers. I can't fucking stand you.
I wanted to make sure that out of the 24 hours of the day, that I don't waste one single hour. Those hours were too precious. And so there I just want to tell people, don't give me this thing, I have a difficult time with the time and I don't have time for this and I don't have that. You have time. You make the time.
And now, welcome to the Be Informed, Live Fit podcast, sponsored by FitnessInformant.com.
About how I triple my fan base, net worth bench. Can't say there's worse, bitch. Do something, fuck it, I prove something. Don't switch up.
I am your host, founder and CEO Ryan Buckeye. Thank you guys and girls for stopping in to check out the newest episode featuring Luke Carroll, owner of Iron Rebel, professional bodybuilder on the quest to potentially grace an Olympia stage. Maybe even in 2021, if not 2022. Brought Luke on, as I know there's a lot of fans of Iron Rebel out there, us included. They're actually the official clothing brand of Fitness Informant. So it was nice to get Luke on, tell the story about Iron Rebel, how he became to acquire the company and become kind of the head of the company and those behind the scenes, and really what the vision for the company is moving forward. As we really talk about, you know, their impact within bodybuilding and powerlifting, but also the impact that they have maybe on females and what they're trying to do there. So Luke coming on, talking about that. We also dive into more of his bodybuilding career, moving from California to Houston, coming up to live with Hunter, or not live with, but train with Hunter Labrada, but to live in a house full of dudes who are all on the quest to be the best they can be in their bodybuilding quest, which I think is absolutely fantastic. For me, I geeked out because I'm obviously a big business guy myself. So hearing that story was awesome for me, but also listening to his quest in bodybuilding. He's 36 years of age, quest for the Olympia stage, wants to start a family in his 40s. So without further ado, people, I'm going to pass this over to Luke Carroll and myself, the conversation, but make sure you hit that subscribe button on all the podcast platforms. If it's iTunes, Spotify, watching via YouTube, check us out at fitnessinformant.com. We're on social media, Fitness Informants on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and TikTok. Let's go.
First episode, season 7, and really kicking off the year in a big way.
You ready to call Ellie? Large mail time.
I want to thank my mom.
Brandon here. We won. Ghost Energy, SPK, Blue Raz. Tasty time.
21 is the year of the V2s.
Understand, man, you have one of the coolest nicknames on the planet, and I need to know who gave it to you, or tell me you gave it to yourself, because that would make me super happy.
No, actually I didn't.
You didn't? Damn it. Who gave it to you?
So I think, I don't know, just kind of coming up through the last few years, all the local people would just call me Hulk, maybe because my name is Luke and it kind of ends with a, L and a K or something. So a lot of people just call me Hulk. And when I started my Instagram, I was like, well, that sounds good.
It works. I mean, it's funny because you're friends with John Meadows, obviously, right? And so am I. But he's got like that red version of the Hulk is kind of his logo, and it's painted at my local gym here in Minneapolis. But every time I see your handle, I think of that right away, which is cool. Tell me about your relationship with John. How far do you guys go back?
John, well, I've been a fan of John's for years and years, and then in 2018, I started working with Iron Rebel and then Granite, and John is owner in Iron Rebel and the founder of Granite Supplements, and so also is my my business partner, Shelly. And so then that's when I kind of actually got in connection with him, and then he was really supportive when I was going to get my my pro card in 2018, and then kind of just grew from there.
And you guys, I mean, has John ever coached you?
No, actually, before we started working together in 2018, I bought one of his programs called the Taskmaster.
Sure.
And I ran the Taskmaster just because I'd been a fan of John's before, prior to that, and it just did super well for me. And then just kind of fortunately enough, it just kind of worked out. So no, he hasn't like directly coached me, but indirectly, yeah, he has.
I think, dissecting that though, I think he's probably coached you in other ways, right? Maybe not in the physical aspect of bodybuilding, but obviously having him as a business partner, I'm sure you've picked up on a lot of ideas from him because he's got a lot of experience.
He does. John, he's a very hard worker. He plays it very safe. He's always preaches, if you make $10, live on $8 and put, save, live on what you earn, live on less than what you earn and stuff like that. Don't overextend yourself on credit and a lot of things like that. So yeah, I really pay attention to those kinds of things and apply them. But John actually did have, my coach is Phil Biz that helped me turn pro. And so, Phil, he's definitely not shy about asking for help from Scott Stevens, from John, from anyone else. So John was definitely like getting the physique updates every time I would send one to Phil. Phil would send it straight to John. So John was he was kind of there along the way.
I'm not sure if people understand just like how small this world actually is. I mean, there's obviously a lot of competitors, but the ones who, let's just say, find a way to make a living within this world, the circle's pretty small.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's like you said, like they probably bounce ideas off each other and share physique updates and things of that nature. A lot of people, like sometimes I talk to people through our channel and their goal is like, I want to win my pro card. I want to win my pro card. And, sometimes I think that's a great goal for you. I kind of want you to set the record straight. Like how, after you obtained your pro card in 2018, did your life dramatically change? Did you foresee this idea of winning your pro card, and did everything kind of play out on what that idea is, or was it not what you expected?
I think I kind of had the dream, what everyone thinks is going to happen kind of is what happened to me. But it didn't really just happen. Like, I didn't get a major contract when I got my card, but I was in contact with Iron Rebel and Granite leading up to my card, and I pretty much reached out to them. And actually what happened was my elbows were really screwed up. And so I saw Hunter Labrada wearing some elbow sleeves, and I reached out to him and I said, hey, what are those? And he goes, oh, this company Iron Rebel makes them. And so I went on, checked them out, and I saw that Iron Rebel, like I'd never heard of it before, and I saw that they had like, just an awesome team. They had like Dallas McCarver, and they had, Dusty Henshaw and Boston Mass, and, all these people on their website. And I was like, wow, like, this is cool stuff. And at the time I was ordering a lot of t-shirts because I'm really into like Harleys and stuff. Yeah. And all the Harley companies just have trash, apparel. So I ordered some and I got it, and I was like, oh, this feels nice. I wore it to the gym, brought it home, washed it. It still fit me after I washed it. I was like, okay, watched it again, and I was like, oh, I got to hit these guys up. So, and I knew that, I saw that they were kind of like small-ish at the time. So I was like, maybe they'll sponsor me. I had like 15,000 followers. I was like, maybe they'll kind of like, be interested. Cause I kind of knew I was like turning pro, because I was like, the year before I'd gotten 4th in USA's, and I just dramatically advanced. Mm-hmm. So then I just started reaching out to them like, hey, I went to a meet. I met some of the athletes, and they were like, hey, send us an email. They kind of brushed me off because we get tons of people that want to get sponsored. And I wasn't looking for sponsorship. I was just looking for like, hey, if you want to send me a shirt, I'll take pictures in it, kind of thing. Yeah. And so then they kind of brushed me off. So then actually a month later, I went to another meet, and I had become an ambassador by then. And then I went to dinner with one of the owners at that time. His name's Ed Koo. And he said, do you want to, get ambassador with Granite as well? So then Granite started doing a ton of like video content with me, like leading up to USA's. Mm-hmm. And that's where kind of like John and I started getting a little bit closer. And then when I got my card, Granite offered me a contract, and then, it kind of just went from there. So yeah, getting back to answer your question, it kind of was like the dream thing, but it wasn't like, as big as you would hope, as big as some people would probably hope. Like it's very, you get out what you put in kind of thing. So with Iron Rebel, I worked, basically for free. I just started saying like, hey, I want to be an ambassador. And then I made some content for them. And then I was going to the Arnold in 19, the year later. And I was like, hey, like, let me help you guys run some social media stuff. And so they gave me, access, and I just didn't want any money. And then they just kept seeing that I was like, I love the brand. I love the hustle. And then that turned into, now I own the company.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy how that turned over. And it's funny you mentioned you reached out initially saying like, hey, you want to toss me a shirt? I'll post up on social media. Role reversal, because now you're the one getting hit up with all these people on social saying, hey, my fitness journey, you want to collaborate, or whatever the terminology is that everybody on Instagram uses. Do you look back and think back to that time in 18, like, how did I come off that way? Like, was that me?
Well, some people are a little bit delusional. Some people want a handout.
Some people?
That they have maybe, I've seen some guys reach out to us trying to get sponsored, and they'll have like 100 followers. If somebody reaches out and they got 15,000, and I look at their engagement and they're getting 1,000 likes or something, and I'll definitely shoot them out a t-shirt if they want to, do whatever. But like, it just is real dependent on, the potential that I see in them, and the hustle. I mean, I've sent people, I've sent guys that only have 3,000. Our biggest guy that does sales right now, his name's Jack Hain. He does the most sales out of anybody. He only has 3,000 followers, right. And he's, so there's always potential there, and but also, if somebody loves the brand, I purchased a bunch of Iron Rebel stuff before I ever even asked for anything. I was repping the stuff and whatever, and then I wasn't even asking for a free T-shirt. I was just saying, like, I knew how expensive it was to do video content, and I just gave them the option. Hey, if you guys want to like book me, I will come down. I love your stuff. If you guys want to make some content with me, I'll come make it for free. Because I know how expensive it is to hire a photographer. So that's kind of what I was going for. And really, all I wanted was just to grow my social media. Like if they posted me, I knew that Iron Rebel had 100,000 followers. Granite has 50. I was like, I'll get many thousands of followers just out of making really awesome content with them. So.
Yeah, I mean, everything's kind of picked up for you. I mean, you win your pro card. Now you're the owner of Iron Rebel. Tell me about that. How did that happen?
Ed kind of left the company in early 19, and then Shelly was just kind of running it on her own. John's kind of like a more silent partner. He doesn't do a whole lot, but he owns a portion of the company. He's kind of like one of the faces of it. Mm-hmm. So Shelly was just running it on her own, and she's the founder actually of Iron Rebel, and she just wanted a partner, and she saw that I had a lot of hustle, and then also that I loved the company, in the same way that she loves the company. So she kind of was like, coddling me along a little bit for a little while and just kind of testing me and seeing what I had, what I wanted to do. And then Iron Rebel kind of started slowly paying me a little bit of wage here and there. And then she just kind of brought it to me and my other partner, Andy Hong. He's an elite power lifter. And she said, like, Luke, I want you to be the face of the bodybuilding of this company. I want you to be the face of the powerlifting of this company. And then she's the CEO. She kind of, you know, oversees all the main stuff. So my role in the company is I design a lot of the apparel and the gear because I use it. And then I athlete acquisition and ambassador and like social media and sales and kind of all that stuff. And then Andy does operations. He's all the shipping and receiving, customer service, you know, anything that has to do with the actual operations of the warehouse. And then Shelly does the logistics of like, I dream it up, and then she does the logistics of like getting it made.
Yeah.
You know, she contacts the supplier. She figures all that stuff out. I kind of dream up like, I want this product, you know, let's do it. And then she makes sure they get paid. She makes sure I get paid. She makes sure, you know, the taxes are paid and all that stuff. So that's kind of the roles in the company.
Well, it's important to understand because I think initially when I was talking about Iron Rebel in this house, Danielle, my wife, is like, do they make anything for females? Like it seemed, she thought just based right away, it was more of a predominantly a male brand. And I said, no, they obviously do. And as you get on there, there's a lot of stuff for females. And I think it's important for listeners and watchers to understand, like, there is a female behind this brand. In fact, a female-founded Iron Rebel, which I mean, goes a long way.
It's kind of a cool story how she did it, because she started it in 2010. She was just going to meets with her husband. Her husband is Steve Dennison. He owns USPA. He founded USPA. The powerlifting, I think it's the biggest in the United States right now.
You're right.
And she was going to all these meets. He was running tons of meets all around the Western states and stuff. And she was just going to them and just sitting there watching people, you know, power lift. And I don't know if you've ever been to a powerlifting meet, but it's the same thing for all day long. And she was like, man, I'm kind of bored. So she just started making T-shirts and then selling them at like a little table. And then it just kind of like, it just, you know, bloomed from there. And she really had the hookup because once Steve started growing USPA, he had access to the top powerlifters. And so she started making gear, sponsoring the top powerlifters. So Iron Rebel really got big in powerlifting, you know, through those years. And then when Ed came into the company, he got it kind of deeper into bodybuilding. He got in with like all the you know, the pros, like I was saying, like Dallas and Matt Jansen and, you know, a lot of those guys.
I think it's important to understand you guys obviously do more than just apparel. So let me just make sure there's knee sleeves, elbow sleeves, there's wrist wraps, which I just used the other day, which are fantastic. But it's always funny when I speak to people and people want to start a business within fitness. It's always like, I'm going to start an apparel line. I think, I mean, and you can agree or disagree, apparel might be one of the dumbest industries to go into from an entrepreneur standpoint. It's not easy. You guys are obviously... Your
margin is about this big. Your investment is this big. And then, you know, your margin is so tiny after you know, get it manufactured, you make a good product, and then after you ship it to somebody for free, and then after you sponsor somebody and this and that, your margin gets razor thin after, you know, surprisingly.
Well, it's also, I think, and you can attest to this too, it's a forecasting nightmare. I mean, you're dealing with multiple different sizes. Now, luckily, I think for you, working with bodybuilding and powerlifters, you know you're going to go heavy on the larger sizes, but you're stuck on old inventory. Then you got to discount it. Now you're not making shit.
All the time, man. We, you know, and it goes in waves, surprisingly. We just started getting heavier into our Facebook advertising over the last probably 14 months. And we started getting in a, you know, smaller clientele. So we were selling like a ton of larges, and we weren't ready to sell all these larges. Right. You know, we're going heavy. And then we started selling like way more 4X, you know, out of nowhere. So then, you know, we're like, all right, we'll start going heavy on the 4X. And then, you know, it'll start to like die off in the 4X, and we'll just be sitting on a bunch of these. So the forecasting is a nightmare when you go extra small through 4X. It's just so much sizing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
we probably have 150 different SKUs, I would say. By the time, you know, we have 10 different shirts, and each of them have 5 different sizes. And then our elbow sleeves are a nightmare because we go in half-inch sizes all the way from 10 to 15. You know, so those things add up fast. And then every time we want to come out with a new color, it's like
Right. It's
So,
cool.
yeah.
Like Iron Rebel, right? I mean, if you're going to create an apparel brand, I'm not advocating for somebody to do that. You're not making T-shirts and joggers. You're making you're. I hate using this term, but like it's a lifestyle, right? I mean, Iron Rebel is a lifestyle. People who represent that brand live, breathe, eat, all that, which that speaks and resonates to people. Therefore, you can sell T-shirts. It's at the end of the day, it's just a fucking T-shirt, but it's what's behind the T-shirt. I think is what people are investing in.
Yeah, there's definitely a culture starting to really pick up steam behind Iron Rebel. We have, our ambassador program is getting, really, really big. All the time we come out with stuff, and I get 100 DMs and people tagging me and stuff, and it's like, it's really cool. And I want to get even further into, the lifestyle part. I want to do flannels and jeans, and we're already doing like the raglans that you can wear to the movies with your wife and look classy. Right. But then also we have the gym apparel side that's still very it's obviously very respectable, all our custom gym apparel stuff. So
yeah, there's a huge, from a business standpoint, I think there's a huge potential for you guys to shift into other things too. I think of an international brand that does a lot of business here, Father Sons. They do a ton of business in the States. In the bodybuilding world, fuck, I got 3 or 4 shirts upstairs. I love the fit. I mean, I would, no offense to them, I'd much rather support an American company that's here, that does those things. And I'm not saying you're going that direction or not, but you look in our world, it seems like you see that brand, you see your brand, and then there's like a couple other ones out there that, there's like, I think is it Live LA, or I can't remember the name of the brand. They're pretty big.
Young LA?
Young LA, yeah. They're obviously very big too. But I think it's impressive how much you guys have grown, and I think a lot of that it's attributed to you. Obviously being the face of the brand, and then the people that you bring into the fold, like the Matt Jansons of the world. I think Nick Walker was doing a couple of your Instagram posts. So, going back to the female side of things, I just want to hit on this because that way my wife doesn't kill me. What's the vision for your female line moving forward for Iron Rebel?
So we've always had a female line, and mostly it was kind of just a few graphic tees here and there. Probably up until recently, 85% of our clientele has just been men, and women have been a little bit of an afterthought. We make a lot of tanks, and we make some of the like hoodies and stuff. We just haven't quite done the custom stuff. So we've been trying, but you would not believe how difficult it is to make a good pair of leggings and a bra.
Yeah.
Like,
not to mention expensive.
It's very expensive.
Yeah.
But it's so difficult. We tried making it, we probably went through like 10 different suppliers. We did a run of them. We hated them. We ended up just like, putting them on clearance and selling them for like a couple, like totally taking a loss on it. So then, we finally got in line with a manufacturer that was able to make stuff to our specs and had the fabrics that we really wanted. And so then they just shit, I forgot where I was going with that.
It's, like you said, it's tough. It's expensive. The quality. Here's what I'll say about women. They are willing to give men second, third, fourth, fifth chances, but they're not willing to give leggings a second chance, right? Like if they have a bad experience, they're done.
Yeah. So we got it going in right before Black Friday. I think in November we got the women's line going, and the direction we're trying to go with it is just go head to head with some of the biggest in the industry, Alpha Elite, kind of put our own Gymshark, Lululemon, all those kinds of things. We're trying to have our Iron Rebel spot in the industry, and it's definitely an uphill battle because a lot of people already have, I love Alpha Elite, I'm just going to keep buying that thing. So, but through our kind of grassroots advertising through all our ambassadors, and people are going to start realizing that we really invest a lot into the quality, and we send stuff back 20 times if we have to till it's perfect. So.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because you brought up a couple brands, Lululemon, Gymshark. Those are billion-dollar brands, right? And their clientele is predominantly women, and women control the checkbooks. They spend a lot of the money. I know I created a food business that was targeted at women too, and it's like if you can get that clientele, if you can get that demographic, I'm not saying it's smooth sailing, but you're gonna grow much quicker than the typical male buyer because we're kind of stingy a little bit with our money. But luckily for you, you have cool shit that men invest in and buy quite a bit and quite often.
Yeah. So the one thing that sets us kind of apart from a lot of brands, we look at a lot of brands and we look at like Strong and we're like, yeah, we're kind of like them, but we're kind of not. And we look at like, Virus and we're like, we're kind of like them, but we're kind of not, because a lot of these brands, Lululemon, they don't have powerlifting gear. And if they have powerlifting gear, they don't have apparel. So we kind of are like one of those brands that bridges, between, you can wear the best, wrist wraps in the game. And then also you can go to dinner with your lady and have like one of the flyest, raglans at the same time. So we're really trying to make it where you can flash that you have style and also get recognized in public as, oh, that guy's a lifter because he wears Iron Rebel. He must be really serious about his powerlifting, about his bodybuilding, but also he's going to look really nice. It's not just going to be like a graphic t-shirt when you're out to dinner with your lady. Like, we have a lot of graphic t-shirts that we love that side of the brand, but also we're trying to get into, just be really diverse in that. So a lot of companies don't obviously do that. You're not going to see, probably a Lululemon t-shirt at dinner, and you're not going to see a Lululemon t-shirt at the powerlifting meet.
No, you won't.
You're going to see it at the yoga studio or, here or there.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously love the brand, and we're going to be obviously working with you guys quite a bit and hopefully bringing some people into the fold as they see, I got to get bigger because I told you not to out-angle me on this podcast, and somehow you had to wear a cutoff. I'm like wearing an Iron Rebel tee, trying to dress up for the occasion, and Luke's over here wearing a cutoff. No.
Strength isn't a slogan.
You want to win this year?
Yes, no! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Game time!
It's not an image you find on billboards or the big screen. It's never been about any of that. It's all around you, in everyday moments, just waiting to be unleashed. Strength is the knowledge that inside you lies anything you've ever wanted to be. The confidence that your failures never define you, and the passion and purpose to drive beyond any limits placed upon you. When you call upon it, strength embraces you, challenges you, pulls you back up, no matter how many times you fall. It compels you to draw on courage, resilience, intensity, and hope, and expects your very best to help others find theirs. True strength demands you build more than muscle, not in pursuit of a personal best, but a better tomorrow for everyone.
Adding my product is going to help you get to where you want to be.
5%ers is 5% of the people in the world that are willing to do whatever it takes to reach their goals.
Come on,
We're talking about business, success, education, willing to do whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
For the last 2 decades, we have been the best kept secret of the supplement industry. We've kept our heads down and worked. We pioneered full label transparency and full therapeutic doses because we believe that truly hard work requires truly effective tools. 2 decades is a long time to commit to one pursuit, but when you act with purpose and become centered in yourself, eventually you realize that you were born and bred for this. The things you once thought impossible, you now do every day. We don't like the easy way, it just doesn't feel right. We'll take the long, hard road over a shortcut any day. It takes longer, sure, but in the end, you know you earned it. And with the right team behind you, pushing yourself further than you've ever been would be just another afternoon doing what you love most.
If you could use some help getting fired up and ready to crush your workouts, Pulse is for you. It is a 100% natural pre-workout supplement that gives you a surge of smooth energy and focus, bigger and better pumps, and more strength, endurance, and power. Pulse is also naturally sweetened and flavored and contains no artificial food dyes, fillers, or other unnecessary junk. So order now and get ready to feel focused, powerful, and tireless in your workouts.
Let's switch gears here and talk about your professional lifting life, because there's more to you than just designing apparel. You had mentioned to me, and I don't know if this is public knowledge, but like you're planning on moving from California very soon and living with Hunter Labrada, who is one of the I think a lot of people will say he's got a ton of potential, and I think by you aligning yourself, in that situation, you guys are just going to push each other significantly.
Yeah, we won't be living together, but we'll be training together. I'll be living with my photo guy.
Yeah, that's
his
right.
name's Carroll Wurzel, and my video guy Wake, and then I think Liv is going to live with us, and Dino. So it's going to be just like a content bodybuilding house, and then basically I'm moving to Houston though to lift with Brian and his coach, or with Hunter and his coach Brian, just because, like with Iron Rebel, I see something that's the best, and I want to make it. I see something that these guys got the best, like what I need to get to the next level, and I see that, so I'm gonna put myself in that environment. They were gracious enough to invite me and say like, yeah, come do it, which doesn't happen very often. But so that's kind of like the direction that's going. So yeah, I'm really excited about making that a reality. And Brian's dropping me. Yeah, I'm dropping Brian like my photo check-ins every few days, and he's like, "All right, man, we just got to get through our first pro show."
I want to bring up like an Instagram post that you had from a couple days ago where you were deadlifting, and I believe the struggle is real, right? I'm just going to read a little thing here. It says, "Many of you that are paying attention know that I've been off gear for the last 2 months, was flying high and thinking I was a metahuman for a minute there, but reality set in and I began hitting a wall." Talk us through that. Explain everything behind that.
So I kind of got to set it up. Back in September, I got COVID. And then in October, me and my girlfriend of 5 years broke up. And then November, my truck was, out of commission for about 5 weeks. And so I kind of was just hitting this wall, and I was on cycle through most of this. And I kind of like started getting back to it in November, and I was like trying to like get my doses up and get my doses like regular. And then I was like not making a gain. So I was like, well, maybe I need to take a little bit more. And when I say a little bit more, normally I take around 600. I was going up to like 750, 800, which is a high dose of testosterone for me. And I didn't feel it. Like I just didn't feel great. So for like, 2 weeks straight, I was kind of like on this dose, and I was like, I think it's time for me to take a break. So yeah, so I came off, came off completely. I don't take, no growth, no bridge, no nothing. I like to really actually be off, because then once I get back on, it's just wacky. So, but I did do PCT, and I was on HCG. So while I was on HCG, for like that first month, I was feeling like great. I was like, my numbers were going up in the gym. I probably still had some androgens in me from the ester, still lasting. And so then I was just like, man, like I forgot being off isn't so bad, So I was really, really doing good. And then the more time went by, started getting into this month, January, and I was hitting PR deadlifts every week, and then I just hit a wall, man. Like I hit 5 on 620 one week, and then I was like, all right, I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna hit 7 or 8, and then we're gonna move up to 630. And I just went down. I went down to 3, and I was like, what the hell? And so I went out again. I got 2, and then the next, I was like, well, maybe it was just a weird week. So then this last week, I went back to it, and I got 2, and I was like, all right. My coaches, Brian and Phil, were both begging me to get back on. I was like, let me wait till I move. But once reality started setting in, that I was like, getting weaker, hitting a wall, I was like, all right, it's been long enough that I've been off. My body is fully ready to get back on. It's just like I need to like mentally get locked in. So sure. that was the turning point, was when I did 2 straight weeks of no advancement after I'd kind of gotten to that 8-9 week period.
It's kind of refreshing, a pro to be transparent, right? I mean, I get the reasons why a lot of people don't touch on the subject or don't talk about it, but it seems like you're pretty open on it and have discussed it. I think, a lot of people are like, well, does it do more good or bad? I think speaking about it on this type of forum or even on your Instagram actually helps educate others too, because I think there's so many people that are aspiring bodybuilders or aspiring for their pro card that get bad advice or just take a cycle without getting blood work done and just really fucking up their system, especially at a young age. Because how old are you, Luke?
36.
You're 36. So, yeah. I mean, you're obviously, bodybuilding's an old man sport. You're only going to get better unless you're Dexter Jackson and compete till you're 60. But, I mean, you got some of these guys getting on stuff at 19, 20 years of age, which is whatever, but they're abusing it or they're not understanding how to do it correctly. So, I mean, do you get a lot of people that DM you and reach out to you and ask about those things?
I do get quite a bit. And kind of to touch on what you said before, I do have a little bit of like nervousness about talking about it because, maybe future sponsors might look at that and say like, oh, we don't want to sponsor him. We don't, talks about drugs. I know there's been some, guys in the IFBB that have been kind of blackballed for talking about their usage and stuff like that. So I try to touch on it in a classy way. Yeah. I'm not trying to, recommend, these doses. I'm actually a more reserved bodybuilder. Like I mean, in full transparency, I only go up to about 1.5 grams of total tests per week. I've gone up to, higher. I've gone up to over 1,000 on my testosterone, and I just don't feel, I don't feel any better. So I feel good at about 600 to 750 is like my normal dose on that. So I go up to, if I stack 3 compounds, I go up to about a gram and a half.
Yeah.
And, that does kind of make me a little bit nervous to talk about it, but also I want guys to know, that we're not using 3, 4, 5 grams a week. We're not just shooting extra shit. We're, I'm really paying attention to my body. And if I'm not making gains, then there's probably a reason. And, that reason is I've used stuff I've been on for too long. So I like to, personally, the way I do it is I stay on until I stop seeing gains. If I'm still advancing, I get my blood work done every few months. So if I'm still advancing and my blood work is clean, I keep going. And if I start hitting a wall, then I know I've kind of gone as far as I can on this cycle or, whatever. And then I come off. So it ends up typically being about a 9-month on and then about a 8-9 weeks off cycle.
You come completely off, or you do like a TRT dosage of like 200 a week?
No, I come completely off.
Okay. Do you don't feel like shit?
Not until, my dick was still working. I just, still working. Yeah. So that would be a big defining factor on feeling like shit. Definitely the last 2 weeks, my body has, when I get into that heavy deadlift set,
like that, yeah.
I see the difference in my training. I don't ever feel terrible. I mean, I feel kind of just like, if I feel terrible, it's probably because I haven't been like sleeping well. So it's really hard to put your finger on like, oh, am I feeling bad because I only slept 5 hours tonight, or am I feeling bad because because I'm like my T is low. I think my T is low, but I got it tested right before I hopped back on. I got it tested, and my T was at like 95 for my total, and I was like, yeah, it's time to get back
Put
on.
that in perspective for people listening. If your testosterone's at like 95, that's like the testosterone level of like a 14-year-old girl. I mean, it's like,
yeah,
mine was at that
basically.
point at one time too. It's terrible. You feel like fucking shit.
But I got it tested in December, and I was on HCG, but I was at like 950. That's when I thought I was like, oh, I'm a metahuman. But I was on HCG. I was like, dang, like what the hell's going on? Like I felt I was putting on size. I was advancing like crazy. Your body definitely adapts to what you're doing, because say your total T you don't want too low, but if it is low, your body will be like, oh shit, and it'll free more of that that bound total testosterone. So my free testosterone was at the low normal end, but my total testosterone was like way below normal. If you're below probably 400, you're in the way below. So people really need to pay attention to that, the free testosterone.
Yeah, I'm an advocate too. I always say on our channel, like if you're over 30, just make it a regular thing to get your blood work checked yearly. I mean, our diets, everything is so different in 2021 than it has been. Like, I think there's more people today on hormone replacement than ever before. And I think a lot of it has to do with our lifestyles and the way we live and our food that we eat. I mean, there's a massive amount of things that can impact. You don't have to be a body, but like just because you're on, I'm on TRT, but mine was pretty much self-induced probably because of hormones and shit from back in the day. But I mean, I feel $1 billion better because of it. And do I up my dosage? Absolutely, I will. Like, especially if I'm trying to make gains, or last year I was on prep. I went through divorce, so I'm thinking like you're talking about losing a relationship. I mean, that shit takes a toll on you. But thankfully, the gym. I would assume that the gym was kind of your therapy at that point.
Yeah, everything was hitting at the same time because she left. She ended up moving kind of far away, so it was done. And then my truck was broke down, so I couldn't get to the gym. So there was like a month and a half there where my life was just like kind of
and you're in California, so the gyms weren't even open, right? Like
yeah, and then that too.
So you had to pretty much work at home or find somebody with a gym, or maybe there was a prohibition gym, as we call it, that lets you work out.
Yeah, I was just depressed, man. Like I was just not having it. I was traveling a little bit, so we were doing photo shoots for Iron Rebel. So I kind of would hit a workout here and there, but there was probably like a 2-month period where I only hit like 3 or 4 workouts.
Yeah. Can you on that, talking about like depression and stuff within the bodybuilding world, especially being a pro? You're probably the biggest critique in the world of yourself. Every day you look in the mirror, you check your weight. Are you pretty hard on yourself?
I'm not bad. I like am my own biggest fan.
Sure.
At the same time, which I think a lot of people do get a little bit over on themselves. But I look at the reality of the situation. Like, have I been trying super hard? No. Then I know my potential. On myself. So, and I have way too much confidence. So, which I wish more people had. I think that people are awesome, and people are way too hard on themselves. So I don't get too down on myself, but at the same time, I wasn't going to post like a freaking shirtless photo on my Instagram at that time, so I'm conscious about it, but also I'm mindful about the reality of my life, like if I'm going through a lot, I got to really be, not get down on myself that, my physique isn't where I want it to be just because, I'm going through a breakup and California's shut down and I can't get to the gym. I'm like, well, I got to try harder if I want to be looking like the way I want to look,
For sure. What's the 2021 outlook for you in terms of like a competition schedule? I know you're moving to train. Are you going to kind of take the year off and just get bigger? Do you plan on competing this year?
So I really need to build up my legs. My upper body is doing great. My legs are my kind of only drawback on stage. I don't necessarily want to get on stage unless I think I'm going to win. But that being said, if I can get to Texas and I can get training with Hunter and Brian, I think we could add the size I need through the next 4 or 5 months. But I'll probably, if I do compete this year, I'll look at something late in the year, probably Tampa. Mm-hmm. And then if I'm not sure if they're going to keep the Olympia in December. Yeah. So I don't know what the schedule is right now. If they keep it in December, they may do some more qualification shows later in the year. I'm not sure how that's going to work. Yeah. But typically, probably I'll do something late in the year if I do, and then or if not, if I'm making like nasty gains and I'm just like loving it and I'm 275 pounds in a month and a half, in a couple months, I might not want to stop. I might just be like, let's hit 2022, hard.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously it all depends on how your body adapts. But yeah, we got Arnold September. I think the Olympia is probably going to be the same weekend in December, back in Orlando again, the way it sounds, which was, were you in Orlando?
No, I didn't. I ended up not going. At the same time, I'll probably listen to my coaches. And if they say, hey, let's do this show, then I'm gonna do what they say. I'm not gonna like just stay off for not compete for no reason.
For sure. I ask this question of every pro bodybuilder that comes on, but in terms of mentorship within the sport, whether it be, I sat down with like Charles Griffin or, whoever came on this show and we talked about things, and they always have somebody who maybe they look up to or pull them to the side. I'm a huge fan of Jay Cutler. I think he's one of the nicest guys in the world. I'm lucky to consider him a friend. Is there somebody in the sport that's accomplished that you consider maybe a close mentor or somebody who's giving you some really good advice?
Man, John Meadows always is one.
For sure.
Cutler, we're not too close, but Cutler's always kind of said hey to me and remembered my name. And I, when I've reached out to him for questions, he's always, which is a pretty, very cool thing that he's always kind of done. Otherwise, my coach, Phil, he's probably one of my biggest teachers and mentors on that stuff. He's so smart on body mechanics, on, insulin sensitivity, on, drug usage, on all that stuff. He's got so much knowledge, and I was so lucky to start working with him, to have that as a resource. So that's probably one of the biggest ones, and he's my biggest fan too, so that doesn't hurt either. He'll definitely kick me in the nuts though if I send him a check-in. He literally, he never says a good thing to me. He just says what I can improve upon. So which is what I need. I don't need someone just blowing smoke on my ass. I need someone hey, you look good, but also, yeah, your legs are fucking weak.
It's similar when you say that. I think about Matt Jansen a bit too, because he was my last coach before we had to call prep off because of pregnancy. But the same way. Occasionally he'd be like, you look great, but here it is. He same thing. And always he tried to push you, which I loved. Looking at the sport, when I left the Olympia this year, I said, okay, bodybuilding's in a good place. This, with Jake Wood taking over the Olympia, the production value of that show was second to none. It was absolutely well done. And obviously seeing a lot of the younger talent kind of come up too. And, I look at the Ians of the world and Hunters of the world. Who are you a fan of outside of yourself? And probably Hunter. That, in terms of maybe Olympia athletes or the potential that people have, who are you a big fan of in the sport today?
Man, Hunter is one of the ones I'm actually, a friend and a fan of, because we both turned pro in 2018, and I was looking at him and I was like, well, first off, I'm a huge fan of his dad's.
Yeah.
So
who isn't?
He's a huge fan of Lee. And Hunter, I'm a big fan of Hunter's. Ian as well. I'm trying to think of who I could see, up in the Olympia the next few years. I was a little bit surprised that Regan didn't do better. I'm a big fan of Regan's shape. In Instagram, he's definitely very freaky, but then when he gets in the lineup, he just doesn't quite have the same thickness as what the other guys have, but he's also very young, so I think he's got the time to build that. I'm a big fan of Classic as well. Ricky Moten, I met him when I was in Houston. That guy is, I don't know. I don't understand how that dude makes weight. And then I've always been a big fan of, Chris's obviously. Yep. So there's a lot of cool talent, coming up with right now.
For sure. I love Classic too. Chris is great. Terrence, we've had him on the show. His ability to pose is, nobody can touch him at this point. It's so much fun to actually watch him do his thing. And then obviously
I'm kind of excited to see the old guard kind of hopefully get out of the Olympia, a Dexter, Phil, even Ramy. I don't know how much longer Ramy's going to be in there. I'm surprised. He's only, I think, 36 or 37. So I thought he was a lot older because he's been competing for so long. But I'm curious how long he's gonna have a reign. I'm trying to think who else is up there. Hottie's going to be in there for a little while. Yeah, he's got, his conditioning is just on a different level.
Right. I think Curry will be up there for a while yet too. His conditioning was great. Just he needs to work on his legs.
Yeah, Curry. I don't know if he can build his legs to that point because I think that it may be a shape thing. I think it's the same thing as with Juan Morel. I think just the shape isn't there on the sweep. You know, they got the nutty genetics on the top, but they just don't have the, it's just like some people don't have a tricep sweep. I think that they just don't quite have that thing. So I think Brandon, he could maybe get it, but he would have probably gotten it this year, built up his legs this year, and he really didn't. So I think that his legs, they can get a little bit better, but I don't know if they can be on the level that they need to be to fuck with like Ramy's legs or something like that.
I got to put you on the spot, Luke, before we wrap this podcast up. Did Phil deserve to be in the top 3?
Phil, I don't know. I didn't see the thing. I'm a big fan of Phil, first off. His stomach looks fucked up for sure.
From the surgery, yeah, for sure.
And he was down from the past. I think Chad mentioned on a different podcast, he thinks that he's having a hard time bracing because of that hernia surgery. So I think Phil's time might be done. I think he's 42. I think just, call it a day while you can. I think maybe third was a gift. I think, maybe like Hottie could have been past him. I think William Bonnick maybe could have been better than him. I think that maybe they gave him a gift just because they wanted to see him come back so bad. So I just heard, I don't know if I should even say this, I just heard that Roden got the okay to come back to the Olympia next year. To come back and compete.
Yeah, I mean,
I really hope
he was there, obviously, as a fan, but...
No, as a competitor, I just heard that, I think, yesterday. He trains here at my local gym, and somebody mentioned that he was going to be able to come back. So I hope so. I'm not sure on his age. I think he's like 46 or something like that. So I'll be blown away if he's able to. But I think he could be one of those top contenders for the next couple of years. But I mean, it's the future. It's Ian Valliere. It's Hunter.
Yeah, Ian looks good.
There's and then guys that are coming up. I mean, Brett Wilkin, Martin Fitzwater, like these guys are, gonna be the next crop of guys. So, if I make it to the Olympia, those are gonna be the guys that I'm gonna be head to head with. And then Nick Walker. Yeah. So there's a lot of guys. I'm big fans of like all these guys. Like, I watched Martin and Nick turn pro because they were Iron Rebel athletes at the time, and so I'm I want to see all these guys do so good, but for sure I want to show them that old guys still got it.
All right. Well, again, like I said, it's an old man sport, really. I mean, you look at top 5 at the Olympia this year too. Obviously, I mean, I guess Rami, you said, was like 36, 37. Just a different Rami this year for sure than years past. But we'll end the podcast with this note: like, how much longer do you think you have as a career in bodybuilding before maybe you shift your focus to just business at 100%?
I've been saying for a while that I think I want to try to compete till I'm in my early 40s and then maybe start a family, when I'm 42, 43, something like that. I would like to compete, at a high level for the next, 37, 38, 39, kind of see how it goes. Hopefully I stay injury free. And, as long as I'm injury free, I'm probably going to keep pushing as long as I'm able to be growing well and stay injury free. So that's my kind of like 8-year plan, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's good. I mean, it's obviously it's always interesting to hear bodybuilders talk about that family aspect and starting a family. Starting a family at 42, it means you'll be 60 when that kid turns 18.
Yeah. Yeah, my dad was 40 when he had me, and then I have a younger brother that's 3.5, so he was, same thing.
Oh, really?
And
okay.
I always kind of felt like my dad was old, and then, but it never really held him back. He's such an athlete that he always would I would try to outrun him when I was like 14, and he's like 65 years old. He's still able to, run faster than me. So
it's crazy.
But yeah, touching on that, juggling, being the owner of Iron Rebel and all the stuff that I do, and bodybuilding is probably the hardest thing I do. It's trying to be great at both is I haven't fully figured it out yet because my bodybuilding since 18 has kind of suffered, but the company has grown by leaps and bounds. So, hopefully I get past mediocre bodybuilder and then, you know, to the next level. So, but you know, that's why I'm making the steps I'm making for this move to Texas, to put myself, you know, with Hunter and Brian say, you know, we're training at 2 or we're training at 3. Like, I'm going to be training at 2 or 3. And I know that if I don't eat that day, that they're going to be like, you know, what the fuck? We're still squatting 5 plates. You know, we're still squatting 6 plates. I don't care if you didn't eat your food.
Yeah.
So, you know, I see like a lot of advanced potential for me this year.
Love it, dude.
But,
I mean, I wish you nothing but the best. I think the move is cool. You hear about people moving to Florida or moving to Texas to put themselves in an environment that promotes growth or promotes advancement in what you're doing. So it's a big step. I'm sure it wasn't the easiest decision in the world for you to leave your comfort zone, I guess, of California. But at the same time, maybe it was easy because you do live in California right now, which it seems like a lot of people want to get the hell out.
It is and it's not. You know, I got this cute little house down by the beach and all, you know, it's right here and it's comfortable. I've been here for 15 years, but at the same time, I'm like, California kind of sucks right now.
Right. Awesome. It's ironrebel.com, obviously, for all the cool stuff. We'll be posting a bunch over at FI. People can follow you on social, all the different platforms. I appreciate you coming on, buddy. This is good stuff.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Let's do it again sometime, man.
Gang, there you go. Luke Carroll, the Hulk, on the Be Informed Live Fit podcast. So it was a pleasure to have Luke on from Iron Rebel. If you guys like what you heard, hit that subscribe button. If you're watching on YouTube, hit subscribe there as well. Otherwise, we're available on iTunes and Spotify. Check out ironrebel.com. Promo code INFORMANT is going to save you 10% on all the swag. Might save you, or not might, it'll save you 10% on elbow sleeves, knee sleeves, wrist wraps, whatever you need. Lifting straps, 10% off. Informant over at ironrebel.com. It's the clothing of the people, by the people, for the people in the bodybuilding world. Make sure you check us out at fitnessinformant.com. We're on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter. Be informed, live fit, and lose. Let's fucking go.